Well, here we go. What is this, the fourth episode, Ryan? Fourth episode of the Hunting Land Man podcast, brought to you by Southern Ag Credit. Hey, we had Alex Reiser on here with Southern Ag Credit. They did such a good job for us, helping our clients finance land, and we just want to thank them for being part of the Hunting Land Man podcast. Today is a special day. It's a rainy day in the South, but we've got good news. We've got David Blanton, Mr. Awlsum himself from Realtree here. David comes through Southwest Mississippi, and he's decided to come on and tell us a little bit about himself. David, thank you so much for being here.
Slade, thanks for having me. You know how you spell awesome, right?
I just thought it was spelled David.
It's A-W-L-S-U-M.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I never forget some of the old Realtree videos back in the day. There was some, when we used to still video from the ground looking up, things like that. And I remember there was one where you came out of the bushes and you jumped about 3 feet high in your green lacrosse rubber boots and fist pump.
Michael Waddell was videoing that. Yeah, Michael was the cameraman back then.
That's back before he got too big time to be running.
He got big time quick, didn't he?
That's right. Well, as everybody knows, David's with Realtree. He's been, 32, 34 years, something like that?
I actually have been there 31 years. Started filming with Bill 31 years ago. Technically went on the full-time payroll 30 years ago. So you're pretty close.
That's pretty good. And it's crazy. David and I were talking in the truck earlier, where the industry has come and where it's done. And, pretty much David's been on a lot of podcasts. He's hosted some podcasts, and we wanted to do something a little different. So, first of all, David, just tell us a little about who you are and where you are today with Realtree and, and where you're headed. Tell us just a little bit about it, David.
Well, first of all, Slade, you and I need to cover some ground rules. We didn't go over this, but the fact that I'm sitting here on your podcast, which is awesome, by the way.
With an L.
Does this get me a long beard this spring?
Whoo! I tell you what, we make it work something in. We make it work something.
Did you hear Slade go, whoo, I don't know about that.
He knows how hard we are to come by here. I tell you what, I've got a great idea. We have a mutual friend in Ben McDonald.
Yes.
Who's got a good place with long beards within 20 miles of here.
Well, the problem with that is
Culpepper. Yeah, him and Drake. But even when they come, he doesn't let Culpepper or Drake kill the turkey. He makes them video him and his son.
You just get the combination to the gate.
Well, I actually know exactly how to get there. And, college baseball is right. Last year he got the turkey hunt because of Corona. College baseball is when we roll in this spring, so we may have the keys to the gate anyway.
He's going to be gone.
That's right.
There you go.
Hey, I've got some magic gate openers in the back of the truck.
That's right.
All right. Well, we got the ground rules covered. I guess we may have to give up a long beard. New Ryan, that's half of why he works for me now is because he's got some good turkey hunting spots. So,
that's a good call on your part. Now, Slade, things have changed so much in 30 years. When I went to work for Bill, it was under the premise of Bill was an entrepreneur. He had a vision. He knew that for Realtree camouflage to make it, he needed to have a TV show. Now, he had no idea what consisted of a TV show, how to do one, how to produce one. And that's when I went to work for him to see if we could get on TV. And it took us 3 years to get on TNN, the national network. So it didn't happen overnight. But that was Bill's first effort at branding Realtree camouflage. And now, as you and I were talking earlier, all that has changed over more to social media. And now the latest is podcast.
That's it.
To build your brand. So the world we live in is different now than when I started. But I have been so blessed, so incredibly blessed to watch the evolution of videos and now DVDs, TV shows, and see where it's taken our company in 30 years. But now I'm seeing all this new internet-based hunting shows, podcasts, things like that. It's a different world now.
It's crazy where it's headed. I mean, did you ever think back in the early 90s that one day that Culpepper and myself could film something for Realtree 365 and it'd be on TV the next day, or even do some live? We've done some of that Beards or Bust we did live,
Crazy. It really is. It's crazy, but y'all doing a great job. At my stage of my career, I just enjoy sitting back and watching all the young guys do their thing now because it's new, it's different. And I literally enjoy watching it.
Right. it's cool to see the process of the way things are happening now, and the way everybody's having to step up their game to compete, because it's not just the big dogs who can be on the Outdoor Sportsman channel. And now it's, if you've got a camera and a YouTube channel, you can almost compete,
Hey, look, when we approached the national network, and some of your listeners may remember TNN days. When we finally got the green light to go on TNN, we were told, they said, okay, what you got to do, first of all, you got to buy equipment that's good enough for national television. Well, back then, Slade, the cheapest camera you could buy that would meet their requirements from a production standpoint was $60,000. Camera.
Big beta camera.
Beta cam SP. Per camera. And I'll never forget, I was out one morning videoing my dad, way back then, with one of these brand new cameras. We were bow hunting one morning, and he climbed down, and I lowered my camera down with my rope, and he untied it, and I got down there, and he said, "Man, I don't know about that." I said, "What, Daddy?" He said, "You pulling up a $60,000 camera with a 50-cent rope." And now, to your point, you can go buy a camera for $2,500.
That film way better than those did.
Oh my goodness, unbelievable.
And it happens so fast. I remember when Trained Assassin Television, our first year the year before we went on TV, I bought EX3 or EX5 or something like that. It was a $7,300 setup. And that was kind of the low end to be on TV back then. We've replaced that with cameras. Like you said, the whole setup, mics, everything is $2,500.
And unbelievable picture.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's our technology.
Right.
It's fantastic, yeah.
Well, something that I've always admired about you, David, if you follow David at all through the years, you don't have to worry about where David stands with the Lord. David's a Christian guy, and we all need to do a better job at doing like David has. And I know David's a humble guy from that aspect, but I want to thank you for always putting the Lord first and everything. And look where He's blessed you.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't put Him first enough. My pastor back home always, in his prayers time to time, he said, "Look, God, thank you for loving us in spite of who we are."
That's right.
And amen, brother. Amen.
Well, thank you. And we've got, we've got mutual friends throughout the industry. I just think of a couple that came to mind, like Jay Austin. I know Jay, the first time he hung out with you, I think y'all hunted at the Kingdom Ranch, he said, "What an awesome Christian guy you were." And I always my kind of call to Jay was, "Yeah, I know."
Well, yeah, and you talking about a trip. God blessed us on that one. We woke up that morning. I've never gone to a deer stand before daylight with worse whitetail conditions for a mature buck. My son Harmon was videoing me. Right. We walk out of the lodge. It was 69 degrees.
November. Right.
November 1st, or maybe October 30th, 31st. It was 69 degrees, 95% humidity, foggy, and you were sweating walking from the truck to the ladder stand. And I looked at Harmon and I said, "This is about as poor conditions as you could ever ask for a deer to move." I said, "But these are the mornings you better have your head on a swivel."
Especially at the Kingdom.
And 20 minutes later, we shot that buck.
So, New Ryan, you may not know this. I think Davis was like 146. Craig killed an incredible buck a couple of days later. David was there for. And then was it 2 years ago you went back and killed 2 deer? Was it?
It was last year.
Okay, so
not this past hunting season.
Right.
Year before last hunting season.
It's just an incredible property up there, and I always pick on Jay. I said, "Look, when can I get Craig fit status and get to go hunt up there?" But I'm glad that anybody stole Craig's spot. It's David.
What a blessing to go up there. Wow, incredible.
Well, we kind of wanted to do something a little bit different on the podcast, and David has had the unique opportunity to hunt some of the best places in the world and around the country and in other countries, and as have I, but actually a way bigger level. And I wanted to ask David, you've seen a lot of these places you're hunting with families. I know how it is. They're putting you up if it's at their lodge or
in their basement.
Right, wherever. And you're usually hunting on a piece of family property or a big family lease or something like that. David, this podcast is all about educating our viewers about land ownership and how they can own land, how they can improve land, things like that. Tell me how you've seen land affect families from a work ethic, a Christian standpoint, a dad and son getting to spend time together outdoors. We're talking about technology. Technology is great, but it also can be, I tell my little boy all the time, I say, Bentley, I don't care how good you can play games on your iPad. If you can't open a gate when we get up there, we're losing. Picking on him or whatever, but just instilling in families and kids, daughters, anything like that, what land ownership can do for a family, the family unit, which we so desperately need in America today.
Yeah, with the world we live in now, it's changed so much even in the last 5 or 10 years. I always think if I had to do it over again, knowing what I know now, and I have 3 boys, and they're all grown and gone now, but if I had to do it over again, I would have moved my family to a rural part of the country and bought a farm and raised my boys on a farm. Just to teach that work ethic. Now I've taught them the work ethic, and I grew up picking tobacco by hand in South Georgia. That's what I did every summer when I was in Alma, Georgia. I picked tobacco by hand. What you don't call it picking tobacco, you call it cropping tobacco. And so, as I have been able, as you mentioned, go around the country and hunt with the families like the Milk River and in Iowa and Kansas and Kentucky and Tennessee, and I see these families, there's just a certain amount of wholesomeness that comes from getting your hands dirty on your own piece of ground and working it. And the family values and the kids aren't as distracted, and they don't have access to things that they don't need to have access to be honest with you.
That's right.
If they're out on the farm working, I think it's fantastic.
It's just a way for kids, like I'm fixed to build a swimming pool on my new place right here, and what I told my wife was, it's a lot of money and a big expense, but I want my kids here.
Mm-hmm.
I want whenever they go get a 4-wheeler stuck or something like that, it's here, and I want one of their friends to come here so I can keep an eye on them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I want to teach my kids so much is, hey, when we go plant our dove field out here, or we go fill a feeder or something like that, work ethic. It don't matter if he never liked to hunt. That's not what it's about. How to, one day my little boy's gonna walk up to a dad like yourself or like me, and he's gonna walk up and ask his daughter to go on a date or marry him or whatever. And I want that dad to look at my son and say, man, his dad did right. Dad, he knows how to hook up the trailer. He knows that if something's broke, he knows how to fix it. And something that my dad did such a good job at is, if somebody's doing something and your hand's in your pocket, you better go. Help. If it's like I said, if you're hooking up a trailer, if you're putting in an air, you pick your poison. But the good Lord, it teaches all throughout the Bible of hard work and on what it can do and the lessons it learned. And on land, you can teach that.
Yes, on your own land. How many things can you do on your land? It's limitless. Mm-hmm. It's countless what you can do. We're driving into your place. I know your boy that's on the way. Mm-hmm. He got his hands full.
Oh yeah, he's gonna learn how to do it all. We something this year. You rode by and you saw a couple of my deer stands we were riding in. Is I got my little girl, my 9-year-old little boy, and Lord. We all got in a box stand the last day of the season, and it was just so funny. My Bentley has killed a deer, but Asa, as soon as the deer comes out, she looks at the gun. She says, "Shoot him, Daddy, shoot him, Daddy." I said, "No, we're gonna wait on something bigger." Yeah. Ended up we didn't kill a deer that day, but that hunt right there was as fun a hunt as I had all year. My family on my place that I've been blessed enough to buy, and it's just, I don't know. It was kind of a culmination of a lot of hard work and a lot of blessings.
That's right, brother. Amen.
Well, something else, for our viewers out there, we hadn't talked about this on the podcast yet, but I guess it's almost been about 3 years ago. Mutual friend of David and I's, Craig Fitz, was working for Realtree at the time, and we kind of put together behind the scenes this Realtree United Country partnership. And kind of tell you, my viewers, without telling you too much, is I always loved United Country from the time I started working there. I actually worked for another real estate company, and they had a better brand than United Country was. Not what I tell people. I said, if a guy's got $1 million in his pocket, he's heading down a highway and he sees a whitetail properties and moss deer properties in a United Country there, you know, if he doesn't know better, and it's a redneck like us three in the room, he stops at one of those others, and that's a problem. So we put together the idea of the Realtree United Country, and it was a bunch of meetings and a bunch of excitement and holding our tongues, and all of a sudden, I remember the day David was there with Tyler and a bunch of other Realtree crew, and we announced that thing at the convention. It was about 2 years ago now, and that video, you remember that video they did with, I think it was Barney Fife, they did that video, and how exciting that was. I felt like it shocked the industry a little bit. And it was a really cool thing, and it was definitely a God thing from my perspective, from being in outdoor TV and being involved with Realtree and United Country, and it all come together. I say all that to say this, David, two things. Tell us a little bit about the excitement of that and how big you think that moment was. And then secondly, you've been able to hunt with a lot of Realtree land pros like myself throughout the country. Travis Hamlin, which if you don't know it, he won Office of the Year. I told him, don't get comfortable, we're going to get him back next year. But him and a lot of the other Realtree land pros, Ben Jackson, I think, to the turkey. Ben's a great guy. And tell us kind of about that partnership, and then what do you think about the whole, you know, the land pros and the people you've met throughout the country?
Well, Slade, kudos to you and Craig for putting that deal together, and it came to fruition. It was a big deal. And what a lot of people don't realize is that was not the first opportunity Realtree had to tie our name and our brand to a real estate company. We had other offers before that, but they weren't exciting. They weren't. We didn't see the value long term in with those arrangements, and we didn't have the personal connection with those companies like we did with you and Craig. And of course, that's turned into personal connections throughout United Country and the Realtree United Country. But it was a big deal because over the past 30 years, it's been talked about a fair amount. You know, Realtree needs to get into the real estate game.
Get in that space.
You need to get in that space.
And if, for people that don't know it, you know, of course, Realtree's biggest competitor is Mossy Oak, and you know they're a great company with a lot of great people, and they've had Mossy Oak properties for probably 20 years.
Yes.
So it took a little while for Realtree to get in that space.
And we just sat back, and we didn't want to do a knee-jerk reaction. We didn't want to jump in just for the sake of jumping in. We had an opportunity finally. The deal that y'all put together, United Country, just made sense to us. More than anything, it felt right. And I think that was a God thing. It just felt right. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
It just felt right. So when the deal got finally put together and we announced it at y'all's convention 2 years ago, it was so exciting. You know, and if you remember, there was, I don't know, 500,000 or 800,000 people in the room.
Right.
When they announced it, nobody knew anything.
Everybody saw the Realtree truck parked out front, and everybody's like, first of all, why is David Blanton here? Second of all, why is that Realtree? So it was like, boom.
Boom. And you remember when we walked, people stood up and started clapping. A standing ovation. And it wasn't like, we expected that. We didn't expect that.
Right.
No. It was, people were so excited. The agents were so excited because finally they had the brand of the #1 camouflage pattern in the world partnering with their company to create the Realtree Land Pros.
And what I think is Brad Shore may have said when we had some conversations about this, he said, it, like you said, it never felt right. Exact words he used, it never felt right. And so Realtree, you know, they always try to partner with #1, whatever industry they're in. They're with Chevy, you know, with Chevy, really good trucks, American made, #1 in their categories, and so is Realtree. For the first time, I guess that partnership, United Country, we're #1 in our space, so we meshed. You know, if #1 and #1 come together, and I ain't gonna lie, there may have been a lot of excited agents that day, but nobody more than me.
Well, it was phenomenal, and it sent, as you mentioned, it sent shockwaves throughout the industry. Not only the hunting industry, but the real estate industry.
Right. We actually, the Associated Press picked it up, the partnership.
Yeah. So it was a big deal, and what's come out of that day for me personally has been just incredible. As you mentioned, Travis Heinley and his crew up in Wisconsin, and Christine Schutte in Missouri, and you guys, and Ben Jackson. I mean, there's agents all over the country. So I jumped in, like I really jumped in, and went all over the country speaking at all the seminars that y'all had to educate all the agents on what the program is, how it works, how to get signed up, and what it gets you. And I love going around. I went to United Country Realtree events all the way out to Colorado, all the way back. I probably spoke at 10 or 12, and it was fantastic. And what, for me, it turned into incredible friendships. Obviously, you and Craig and I have been friends for years, but like with Travis and Jason up in Wisconsin now, and Christine in Missouri, and the friendships are just priceless.
And if you didn't know this, I tell you how good that friendship is in Wisconsin. David killed, I don't know, deer was 160 plus, probably about 24 inches wide last year, 2 years ago with Jason. So I know y'all got a good friendship up there now.
Well, yeah, we went into that piece of property that had just been bought. It had just been purchased by the current owner, and they had not hunted it yet, but we got permission to go in there and hunt. And Jason and I hunted it that afternoon. We went in there and sat in the original owner's, one of his ladder stands, and we sat up there, and I'm just sitting there with a bow in my hand, and I'm going, I don't know Jason Science that well at this point, and he's running camera, and I'm sitting there going, oh, this is not where I need to be sitting to kill a deer with a bow. It just wasn't in the right place. And so I told Jason, we saw some deer. I said, Jason, we need to be down there 150 yards in that bottom in the morning. We need to go down there. So it got dark. We walked down there, and we dropped some lock-on stands off. And I said, well, let's come back in the morning an hour earlier than normal, and let's hang these sets in here before daylight, and let's just do it. Let's just hang and bang.
Right.
And we went in there that morning and hung that set, and an hour later we had 160 plus inch buck.
God, what an impressive deer. And just to that point, Jason's a Realtree Land Pro. Only been doing it, I think, now 3 years. And Jason, I think he was in the top 25 this year. Kudos to him and Travis, that whole team. They do a great job. And to me, what you just said, that's a Realtree Land Pro. An hour before daylight, hanging lock-ons with David Blanton, a legend of the industry.
Good point.
That, if you're a Realtree Land Pro, I think that's what you're getting. Even, okay, let's even take you to Christine. Christine's a killer. She's hunts every day.
Let me tell you something about Christine, and I'm sure she'll hear this podcast. That girl is the real deal. There's a lot of female hunters that, kudos to them. They hunt, they enjoy it, but as far as going out and getting it done on their own.
On the ground, too.
I mean, Christine is like, I'm like, wow, this girl can go now. So that's a Realtree Land Pro, to your point. Guy, girl, didn't matter. I mean, it's been fantastic.
And I've even sent clients from here. I sold their property here and sent them up to Christine to buy their property in Missouri, and actually ended up buying something in Illinois, worked with Christine for a while. And the same thing they said. They said, she's the real deal. I thought you just sent me for a pretty face, but she's the real deal.
She needs her own show.
Right. Well, I keep hearing that. She's killed a couple of good deer over the year. I see she's been shed hunting a lot, and she had a great year in real estate, and her office had a great year in real estate. Kudos to them. And we both hunted with Ben Jackson. I know Ben had a great year last year, and the people. Look, David and I talked about this earlier.
The problem with Ben is he went to Auburn.
That's tough.
That's tough.
It's hard to overcome that. It really is. I think there's classes you can take, to kind of, I think, David, you're a Georgia.
I'm a Georgia Bulldog.
100%?
100%.
I know where y'all live over on the line. Like, I know Michael's a little bit Georgia, a little bit Auburn. Where's the line? Is there any roll tides over there?
My wife's roll tide.
Oh.
Now, that didn't work out too well for me.
Now, you want to talk about a Christian guy. He can marry a girl that yells Roll Tide and be a Georgia fan? That's tough.
But she's so sweet. Every time they beat us, she literally feels bad for me. Yeah. When she says Roll Tide, though. Her funny, Lisa's so funny, and I give her a hard time about, hey, honey, you see where Alabama beat so-and-so 68-3, and she'll look at me and she said, this ain't upward football.
I tell you what, yeah, you know, it's tough and it's funny, and that's to me what I'm not gonna let 22 athletes ruin my Saturday anytime, but it's funny to me to joke around. Like, this is what to me what college football and college baseball is all about, is those rivalries. Because even if we don't play sports like you know, like we used to when we were younger, we still have that, you know, that competitiveness in us to do that.
Yes. But I tell you, honestly, Slade, the entire the Realtree United Country Partnership has just been phenomenal, just outstanding.
Well, and we appreciate you saying that. It's been so good for us. It's like David and I talked about earlier. It's not and we have a lot of agents that listen to this, you know, educational stuff. And it's not like all of a sudden you put your Realtree hat on and you put it on your business card and it's a no-brainer. It's just like any other product y'all have ever endorsed. Just because Realtree's involved, you got to have a good product. And United Country has a good product. And if you take Realtree and use that brand and use it, you know, listen, we can't help it. We're rednecks. We're born that way.
Hey, I don't mind it when my real estate agent never takes his rubber boots off.
That's right. Well, I tell everybody, it's kind of a joke, is if you can get from March 15th to May 1st, if you can get a hold of your agent other than text messages before 10 a.m., maybe you have the wrong agent.
That's right.
I mean, Ryan doesn't know. So Ryan, I don't know if you know this, Ryan is Scott Lindsay's possible future son-in-law.
I heard, yeah.
So he is thrown into a turkey hunting world, and he's about to find out a lot more about it because we go every morning. He'll be videoing every morning, but he doesn't realize how fun it's going to be because when I run out of tags, I'll be videoing him. I just like to do that much.
That's a lot of pressure.
And apparently you got to video David because apparently he talked himself into a long beard at Ben McDonald's place. Now we got to talk to Ben about that. Put that on the list of things.
And you need to talk to your future pawn-in-law about getting me a turkey up there too.
I think he's got more turkeys.
Right.
He's got so many turkey spots. He's got it on his phone. He has to remember them all.
I'll probably give Scott a call on the way home.
I think that's a good idea. Well, you know, we kind of covered a lot of the topics we wanted to cover. David, something that I've always liked about podcasts, and I kind of got my own spin on this thing, is we take every guest and we ask them the same question. And it's a pretty unique question. You find out a lot about somebody when you ask them. All right, David. Tomorrow, you buy a lottery ticket on the way home, you win $100 million. Clean to you, $100 million. Where are we buying land and why?
Is it just one piece of ground?
It's $100 million. Do what you want.
Ooh. Well, I tell you, one place I'm going to buy some ground is out in Texas.
Okay.
Because it's a game-rich environment. I love going out there. I mean, there's so much. If you go to the right place, you got hogs and javelinas and turkeys and deer and coyotes. And I mean, you got it all out there. I love it. But I love the Midwest, Kentucky, Missouri, Iowa. But if you had made me pick one place that I was going to buy land, it's going to be.
It gets tough. Remember, you got $100 million, so you can fly.
Well, say I gotta buy an elk ranch because I'm into elk hunting. You gotta buy an elk ranch, and I literally would buy an elk ranch in eastern Montana.
Eastern Montana. I have never hunted eastern Montana. Is that where you killed one with a muzzle loader last year?
I never fired a shot at one, but eastern Montana is flying under the radar screen right now when it comes to big elk. I mean to tell you.
David and I were talking on the way over here. We just talked about, you know, if you haven't done it, and a lot of people from the South have it. It's when that elk bugles over that mountain. It's something different. It'll change your life. It'll change your life.
Oh goodness, I love elk hunting.
So we're buying a place in Montana.
Eastern Montana, and then I'd have to buy a good spread in my home state of Georgia.
Everybody says
have
that.
to.
It's something special about where you grew up.
Where my family is, and I'd have to buy a big spread right there.
Somewhere for Harmon to come
right there home, yep. And my grandgirl, I got 2 granddaughters now.
I got you. Now, David is the first guest we have. He hasn't talked about, Missouri, Iowa line up in there. Me and Scott, that's what we would like to buy. And if we could buy in Iowa, if you had $100 million, you could change your residence. And then get 3 tags there, and then have some in Missouri, so you get 5 tags right there. But I know you've hunted a lot up in that area. But
what about a place in Florida for Osceolas? I mean, if you can find a prime 2,500 acre tract in Florida that's full of Osceolas, you can't go wrong there.
Oh no, you're right. What a resident gets 2, I think.
You can get 2.
Are you going on Osceola hunt this year?
Yeah, leaving Friday.
And you're going where?
Near Immokalee.
Okay. Who's going with Dave?
Philip will be down there doing hunt club. Michael will be down there doing bone collector. And we're all in the same general area.
Ryan, you bring your stuff. We'll just ride with him.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea. I've only actually ever killed one Osceola. I filmed a couple. But I got stuck in Disney World 2 weeks ago and had to drive all the way back through there, and I saw several on the way by. So they're ready for you.
Yes.
So, what all states are you hitting this year?
We're going to do Florida next week, and then I'm going to come back up through South Georgia where I grew up, and I'm going to film a friend of mine, his kids, for Youth Weekend in Georgia, which will be the 13th, 14th of March. Come home for several days, and I go to South Texas on the 19th of March. Nick Munt from Bone Collector is going to go with me. We're going to film each other in South Texas.
Is that spot you go every year?
No, this is a brand new ranch. This place is, I've been offered an invite to come out, and the turkeys have not been hunted.
I like that.
Yeah.
They hadn't been filling Culpeper.
No.
You know, this funny thing I hear, I know Culpeper pretty good, but it's funny, him and Nate always joke back and forth. Nate Hosey joke back and forth is, you killed one this morning, huh? How many did you run through to get to it?
That's right. And then I'm going to do I drew Iowa second season, which is like the 14th or 15th of April. And then I go straight from there to eastern Montana for Merriam.
Now, I was going to do Merriam this year, but as you saw Lori on the way out, and she told you the day of that burial, I think my Merriam dream, it got crushed by Corona last year, and this year I think our little boy's a little more important, and we can kill Merriams the rest of our lives.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny you said Iowa. So I've done the Iowa. Last year I drew a tag. This year I forgot to put in for the tag. But something Ryan and I have really enjoyed in Iowa is, you get an over-the-counter muzzleloader shotgun tag. And it is so fun because, we turkey hunt every day of the season, and then it just throws a little wrench into, I hope this thing goes off. And
cool.
We've killed several over the years, and it's just fun. It shoots 30, 40 yards. It shoots fine, but it's pretty cool to see that smoke go off.
That's cool. We have a saying when it comes to turkey hunting, Slade. We don't hunt them because we hate them. We hate them because we hunt them.
That's right. And, I tell people all the time, and you will appreciate this, David's a big golfer. And so, somebody that's ever got that golf bug, I got it when I was in high school, and you just want to go every day and improve your game and stuff like that. If you've ever gotten that turkey hunting bug, people say it's the same. It's like I'll tell you this, I can tell you during the season, every turkey I ride by and see in a field that I can't go hunt, I can tell you, because it bothers me that much that I can't go kill them. It's so mad at them.
I'm with you, brother.
I live and breathe it. Well, David, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I know you got to get back to Georgia today, and I hope you have a great turkey hunt. Thank you for everything you do for us at Realtree, and maybe after turkey season we'll have you on again. Tell us a little about your turkey season, or after he comes on his longbeard hunt. You didn't mention when you were coming through here.
I thought it was like I had open invitation, like whenever.
Well, we need at least an hour. An hour heads up. We drop what we're doing to bring you in the turkey hunt. But look, I'm going to hold David to this. One day, I'm going to go out there with the Realtree crew and hunt the Milk River. That's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
Two on my bucket list. I want to do the moose, Yukon moose. That's just something.
Me too.
Yukon moose, and I want the Milk River. I remember the first road trips episode, and oh God, it's just so much history there. It's such a cool place to hunt.
It's crazy what the deer now. 12 years ago we lost all the deer.
Correct.
Half of them to winter kill, and then that following August, September, the other half died. So we lost all of our deer 12 years ago. And would you believe that those deer still are not back yet the way they used to be? And well, they'll never be back like they were. They'll never. It's not possible because now the locals hunt whitetails. Back in the day, locals wouldn't even look at a whitetail. Now you got outfitters taking hunters up there hunting whitetails all around, all up and down the river. But back when we started, back in the 95, nobody even would pay attention to a whitetail.
So if you crawl on a stand on a good afternoon, give me a roundabout number on a good afternoon, how many deer you'd see?
Back then? Well, I'll tell you a quick story. First time I ever sat in a tree on the Milk River, I was with David Morris, the founder of North American Whitetail Magazine, and I was running camera. And we sat up on a field, irrigated alfalfa field, which is now named the David Morris Field. We're not real creative, but it's David Morris Field to this day. We sat up there slayed, and I kid you not, this is no joke. We had the video to prove it. Before dark, actually an hour before dark, there were in a 50-acre irrigated alfalfa field, there were 250 deer. There were 40 bucks we counted that would make Pope and Young. In the field at one time, there were 10 bucks over 150. There were 5 bucks over 160, and there were 3 over 170 at one time in that field.
This is why we need to go to the Milk River Run. That's correct.
And what's crazy, when we aired those original episodes on Realtree Outdoors on TNN, we had people sending us hate mail because we were hunting a high fence.
Right. It was just...
They just assumed it was high fence.
It had to be, it's just crazy.
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy that land out there can support.
Mm-hmm.
It's just unbelievable. It's crazy that the farmers even have any alfalfa to cut with all those deer out there.
And now that's one reason they had a problem about every 3 or 4 years with blue tongue, because there were so many deer. It's Mother Nature's way.
Right. I feel like that's God's way of knocking them back.
Yeah. So it's amazing.
Well, that is on my bucket list. Like I said, one day I'm gonna go hunt with the Realtree crew at the Milk River. I think that's an unbelievable place. Well, David, thank you so much for coming on. God bless. Be careful on your trip back, and thank you again.
Slade, thank you so much, bud. I appreciate that. Thank you.